One waitress. One arrogant millionaire. And a grand piano. What started as a cruel attempt to humiliate her turned into a moment that silenced the room and shattered egos. You won't believe how she turned the tables with nothing but her talent. It was a warm Friday evening at La Fontaine, an upscale restaurant nestled in the heart of Raleigh, North Carolina. The hum of conversation, the clinking of glasses, and the faint strains of jazz from a corner piano set the mood for an evening of refined indulgence. Deborah, a 25-year-old waitress with a quiet demeanor but eyes that held unspoken dreams, moved swiftly between tables, balancing plates and smiles. To most, she was just another face in uniform. But inside, she carried a passion far greater than the luxurious dining room around her. Music was her true calling. Ever since childhood, the piano had been her refuge, a place to pour every joy, every sorrow, and every unspoken thought. But dreams don't pay the bills. Working at La Fontaine was a necessity, a stepping stone toward the music academy she longed to attend. Few knew about her talent, except for the restaurant staff who had occasionally caught her stealing moments with the old upright piano in the back room during her break. That night, as the dinner rush settled, the door swung open. In walked Leonard Grayson. The wealthy entrepreneur made his entrance like he owned the place, flanked by a few equally polished companions. Known for his sharp tongue and penchant for spectacle, his presence made even the most seasoned staff stand straighter. Deborah's colleagues exchanged knowing glances. Leonard was the kind of man who thrived on pushing people's buttons. But for Deborah, he was just another table to manage. Or so she thought. As Leonard scanned the room, his gaze landed on her. A pause. A smirk. Deborah felt the weight of his stare but brushed it off, focusing on refilling water glasses and clearing plates. But Leonard wasn't done. He had already decided, she would be his entertainment for the night. Over the next hour, Leonard put on a show of his own, boasting loudly about his successes and ridiculing those who lacked ambition. His entourage laughed dutifully, while other diners exchanged uneasy glances. Deborah did her best to ignore him, but then. "Tell me, Deborah," Leonard called out, his voice cutting through the hum of conversation. "Surely a young woman like you has dreams beyond carrying plates." She hesitated. "I play piano sometimes," she said, hoping to keep it brief. Leonard's eyes lit up. "A pianist? How fascinating. Why don't you give us a little performance?" The room grew quiet. "Oh, I couldn't," Deborah said quickly, forcing a nervous laugh. "I'm just here to work tonight." "Nonsense," Leonard declared. "There's a piano right there. Show us what you've got. Surely a future star like you isn't afraid of a little audience." His companions chuckled. Other diners turned their heads, curiosity piqued. Deborah's chest tightened. The weight of their stares, the silent judgment, it was suffocating. She wanted to refuse. To walk away. But then. Leonard smirked. "Ah, I see. All talk, no talent. That's disappointing." The word struck like a slap. Her mother's voice echoed in her mind, "Never let anyone make you feel small, Deborah. You're bigger than they'll ever know." A moment of silence. Then, she made her decision. "Fine." Her voice was steady. "I'll play." The dining room seemed to hold its breath as Deborah walked toward the grand piano. The chandelier above cast a spotlight on her, isolating her from the murmuring crowd. She slid onto the bench, fingers trembling as they hovered over the keys. The first notes were soft. Hesitant. A few diners shifted, someone coughed in the back. But then. She leaned into the music. She chose a piece she knew by heart, a soulful rendition of Clair de Lune by Debussy. The melody wove through the air, delicate but unyielding. As her confidence grew, the music swelled, her fingers moving with a grace that belied the storm within her. Each note carried her story, her mother's sacrifices, the nights spent practicing in a cramped room, the weight of dreams deferred but never abandoned. The room fell silent. Even Leonard, who had been whispering to his companions, was quiet now. Deborah didn't need to look up to feel the shift. The mocking energy had dissipated. Replaced by something else. Awe. Humility. The final chord rang out, and for a moment, there was only stillness. Then, applause. Thunderous, heartfelt applause. Some diners stood, clapping with a fervor that brought tears to her eyes. Her co-workers, who had been watching from the sidelines, cheered quietly, their faces lit with pride. Leonard, however, remained seated. His smirk was gone, replaced by an expression of shock and discomfort. He raised his hands and clapped slowly, a hollow sound compared to the cheers around him. "Well," he finally said, his voice louder than necessary. "That was unexpected." He chuckled, but the bravado was missing. "I suppose talent really does come from the most surprising places." His companions exchanged awkward glances. The joke had lost its punch. Deborah met his gaze, her expression unreadable. "Thank you," she said evenly. No warmth, no hostility. Just truth. Leonard shifted uncomfortably. "You've got quite a gift." She tilted her head slightly. "Everyone has a gift. It's how you choose to use it that matters." The room seemed to hold its breath again. The weight of her words rippled through the air. Leonard looked away first, calling for another drink. A flimsy attempt to reclaim his composure. The energy in the room had changed. Where there had once been privilege and pretense, there was now something richer, a shared understanding, perhaps even respect. Leonard had lost. And not because she humiliated him. But because he had tried to define her, and failed. As Deborah returned to her station, her head was held a little higher. Patrons stopped her with kind words. "You were incredible. Don't ever stop playing. Follow that dream of yours." Even one of Leonard's companions, a younger man with a softer demeanor, paused before leaving. "You were amazing," he said sincerely. Deborah smiled. "Thank you." That night, something shifted within her. Not just triumph, but realization. Her talent wasn't something to hide or justify. It was hers. And it was enough. Days later, she received a call. A music producer from Nashville had been dining that night. He wasn't offering fame or fortune. But a chance. A demo. A step towards something she had only dared to dream of. Deborah took it. Not because it promised success. But because it was a door opening. And she was no longer afraid to walk through it. What about you? What dream have you been holding back because of fear or doubt? Don't wait for someone like Leonard to test you. Take your step forward now. Subscribe for more stories of resilience and triumph. Your story could be next.